Hello and welcome back to the Second Chance to Live channel here on YouTube. Today is January 2nd, 2014. I've made a decision to change the way in which I introduce my articles. Instead of giving you the introduction that I have in the first 193 of these video presentations, I'm going to instead go straight to the article. Today's article is from a series that I wrote that has been an article of interest of late. This article I've not put into video series, so I'm going to be putting this into a video series. Today I'm going to be reading part 1 and part 2 of the video series. To read the video series, I put on my glasses and bring up the article. Thank you for your time. Here's the article. Relationships, Conflict, and Peace, Part 1. Hello and welcome back to Second Chance to Live. I'm happy to see that you decided to stop by to visit with me. I'm honored by your presence. Yesterday evening, while meeting with a group of friends, the discussion of relationships, conflict, and peace was introduced. When the time came for me to share from my experience, strength, and hope, these are some of the thoughts that I shared with the group. Through my recovery process, I became aware of the patterns in my relationships. As I examined the patterns in my relationships, I discovered that there was a common theme. If there was a conflict or unrest in the relationship, I experienced feelings of shame, anxiety, and the fear of abandonment. Consequently, in my attempts to quiet my feelings of shame, anxiety, and the fear of abandonment, I desperately tried to fix the conflict and the unrest in my relationships. Not only did I believe that I was the cause for the conflict and the unrest, but I believed that I needed to fix the unrest and conflict in order to make the person in the relationship okay. I was driven to fix or make the person okay in order to know that we were okay in the relationship before I could hope to be okay with myself and feel secure. You see, I bought into the notion at an early age that if conflict or unrest existed for any reason in any of my relationships, I was to blame. Several factors also contributed to and complicated matters. One, that I was driven to be perfect in order to avoid or relieve my own ongoing feelings of not being okay and insecurity. And 2, that I was living with an invisible disability for which neither I nor the people in my life were aware of. For more information, please read my About page. And here in the article I have a link to my About page, and you can read my About page in the event that you like to by coming to Second Chance to Live at secondchancetolive.org and clicking on the About my About page in the tabs at the top of the website. Consequently, I found myself guessing at what was normal in all my relationships. Because I rarely felt secure, okay with myself, I found myself constantly striving all the more in an attempt to do enough to measure up to be enough so that I could feel okay and secure. Consequently, a performance-based acceptance drove me to despair. My efforts to be enough only seemed to reinforce that I was unlovable and unworthy of being loved by God, my fellows, or myself. And here's part 2 of the article. With my awareness, I began to realize that With my awareness, I began to realize what I was doing to myself. Through my recovery process, I began to realize that I was not responsible for matters that were out of my control. I began to realize that I needed to change the patterns in my behavior that reinforced and kept me stuck in a cycle of shame and a fear of abandonment. Through my recovery process, I began to understand how my drive to please people and approval seek distorted my perceptions and kept me bewildered. I began to realize that my drive to people please and approval seek in application undermined all my relationships and kept me guessing at what was normal. With my awareness, I began to realize that none of my relationships were functional, but rather dysfunctional. In the process, I began to realize that I could no longer fix the people in my world to make them okay with me so that we could be okay before I could be okay with me, to be in relationship with them, individuals or groups. I began to realize that my good had been good enough for me, and that was all okay. Excuse me. Again, I began to realize that my good had to be good enough for me, and that had to be okay with me. I had to be okay with me regardless of whether anyone else was okay with me. With my awareness, I began to realize that I was created to be a separate and an autonomous individual, not to be an extension of another individual or group of people. I discovered that my drive to be at peace at any cost, to avoid the cycle of shame and a fear of abandonment, eroded my ability and capacity to be authentic and to trust. This is the end of part 2 of the article. I'll be creating another video presentation of article 3 and 4 and 5 in the next couple days. I want to thank you for being here. Have a great day, and God bless both you and your family. So long now.